Hello, my name is Christina Chiappetta, and I'm the MS4 General Permit Coordinator here at the New York State DEC. I'm joined by Michelle Novak, the MS4 General Permit Assistant Coordinator. For today, we will be going through some of the bigger items with a due date of within 1 year of the effective date of coverage, as well as some annual requirements. I like to start these presentations by just going through a quick refresher on some of the vocabulary that we might be using today. The 6 minimum control measures, or MCMs, specified in the final general permit GP 024001 come from federal regulations. The MCMs represent the non-numeric effluent limitations of the general permit to reduce the discharge of pollutants to the maximum extent practicable, also known as MEP. The MS4 operator must implement the permit requirements for each MCM. The permit requirements consist of best management practices, or BMPs. Under the U.S. EPA's comprehensive general permit approach of the final Phase 2 remand rule, the New York State DEC must include clear, specific, and measurable requirements. GP 024001, also sometimes referred to as GP 24, contains timeframes for implementation of the conditions, as well as the legal requirements for compliance schedules. The Stormwater Management Program Plan developed by the MS4 operator must reflect the applicable requirements for the MCMs contained in the general permit. The items listed on the next two slides can be found in the Compliance Items Summary tool, which is located on the New York State DEC's MS4 Toolbox webpage. For this slide, I'm going to go over a selection of items that are due within 1 year. The items that are identified as due within 1 year can be found on the Deliverables tab of the Compliance Items Summary tool. These deliverables are a bit separate than items I'll go over in a second because since they are a deliverable, once those tasks are complete, they no longer have to be done. You can kind of check them off your list. For today, we are going to be going over developing and implementing a construction oversight program, prioritizing construction sites, and developing and implementing a post-construction stormwater management practice inspection and maintenance program. The items listed in this table are due at a frequency of annually. These items can be found in our Compliance Items Summary tool on the Recurring tab. For today, again, we will be going over a selection of these items. We will be reviewing an update to the inventory of construction sites, an update to the inventory of post-construction stormwater management practices, and the requirement to sweep streets in business and commercial areas. The first part that we're going to go over today has to do with minimum control measure 4, construction site stormwater runoff control. And again, we will be reviewing those items that are due either within 1 year or annually. The items that we are going to review today for minimum control measure 4 include the construction oversight program, an update to the construction site inventory, and prioritization of construction sites. The construction oversight program matches the strategy set forth for all the other programs set in the permit. And that looks like development of procedures for your program, providing training on those procedures for your program, writing down who took the training for that program, and then updating your procedures as needed. Components of a program can be found on page 21 of the fact sheet. For the construction oversight program, the procedures must include applicable construction sites, what types of construction activity require a SWIP, the procedures for submission of SWIPs, SWIP review requirements, pre-construction oversight requirements, construction site inspection requirements, construction site closeout requirements, enforcement process expectations for compliance, and other procedures. I do get the question sometimes about what are the other procedures I include. You can include anything with regards to your program here that helps you get your program implemented. Maybe it's just where to locate the truck that you're going to use to complete your inspections, but it could also include things like some municipalities which have smaller thresholds for land disturbance where they go do inspections, or the frequency in inspection could be higher than what is required by the MS4 general permit. The next part we are going to review is minimum control measure 4, an update to the construction site inventory. The requirement to develop and maintain an inventory of all applicable construction sites was a 6-month requirement, and that was asked about on the interim progress certification. The requirement to update the inventory if a construction project is approved or completed is an annual requirement. Similar to other annual requirements, this is a requirement to make sure that things are kept up to date. However, the permit needs to be clear, specific, and measurable in line with the Phase 2 remand rule. So that is why the annual compliance timeframe was included. The last part of minimum control measure 4 that we're going to go over today is the prioritization of construction sites. High priority construction sites are those with a direct conveyance to water bodies specified in GP 24, that have an earth disturbance within 100 feet of any lake or pond, that are within 50 feet of any rivers or streams, or that have greater than 5 acres of disturbed earth at any one time. All other construction sites are low priority.
The next topic that we will discuss is MCM5, Post-Construction Stormwater Management. The goal of MCM5 is to ensure the proper functioning of post-construction SMPs so stormwater pollution is managed effectively. The two subjects of MCM5, Post-Construction Stormwater Management, that will be reviewed are the Post-Construction SMP Inspection and Maintenance Program and updating the inventory of post-construction SMPs. The post-construction SMP inspection and maintenance procedures include O&M of post-construction SMPs, documentation of inspections, provisions to initiate follow-up actions within 30 days of inspection, and provisions to initiate enforcement if follow-up actions are not complete within 60 days of inspection. The components of the program can be found on page 21 of the fact sheet. MS4 operators must maintain the inventory from previous iterations for post-construction SMPs installed after March 10, 2003, and they must develop the inventory for post-construction SMPs installed after March 10, 2003, as they are approved or discovered, or after the owner-operator of the construction activity has filed the NOT with the department. All MS4 operators should be working off of an inventory from a previous iteration of the general permit. As a reminder, you were asked about this in the interim progress certification. A common question that we are asked is if a post-construction SMP is installed in the absence of a construction activity, does that post-construction SMP need to be included in the inventory? The answer is, according to 40 CFR 122.35B5I, the permit must identify the minimum elements and require the development, implementation, and enforcement of a program to address stormwater runoff from new development and redevelopment projects that disturb greater than or equal to 1 acre, including projects less than 1 acre that are part of a larger common plan of development or sale that discharge into the small MS4. So the post-construction SMPs must be 1, installed as part of construction activities that result in land disturbances of greater than or equal to 1 acre, and 2, directly via pipe or overflow structure discharged to the MS4. Although not a permit requirement, the MS4 operator may decide to include all post-construction SMPs in the inventory, so they have a comprehensive list. For example, if your municipality has a rain garden installation program that occurs outside of the construction activity, you may decide to include that on your inventory, even though it is not required by the MS4 general permit.
The last topic that we'll be going over has to do with minimum control measure 6, pollution prevention and good housekeeping. The requirement to develop and implement procedures for sweeping was a 6-month requirement, and that was asked about on the interim progress certification. Building off of that, in true fashion, implementing those procedures that were developed, there's an annual requirement now to sweep roads in business and commercial areas. The requirement is not applicable to uncurbed roads with no catch basins, high-speed limited access highways, or roads defined as interstates, freeways and expressways, or arterials by the US DOT. As a reminder of why we made this presentation, it's because of the reports that are due under the MS4 General Permit GP24. The annual report, the first one for this permit iteration, will be coming due to the DEC in April of 2025. That report will cover a reporting period of January 3rd, 2024 to January 2nd of 2025. In the same way, we have interim progress certifications. The reporting periods for the interim progress certifications are as follows: from January 3rd through June 30th, and that would need to be submitted to the New York State DEC by October 1st of each year, just as one was recently submitted. And then also July 1st through January 2nd, with a submission date of April 1st of each year to the DEC. You might notice that there's an annual report and an interim progress certification, both due on April 1st of this coming year. Instead of filling out two separate forms, the information required by both of these reports will be combined into one form. So each entity will only need to submit one form to the New York State DEC, again, by April 1st. I like to wrap up these presentations with a quick overview, again, of the tools that are available. Largely, I like to point people to the MS4 permit webpage. That contains our permit, fact sheet, and responsiveness summary. There's a lot of information in there, and it can be really helpful with understanding and implementing the permit requirements. The MS4 toolbox page has our stormwater management program plan components tool, as well as the compliance item summary tool. Michelle and I are working on an updated compliance item summary tool, and I'll let you know when that becomes available. As always, the permit is the ruling document. So if there's any inconsistency with the tools, defer to the permit. The permit always will be the ruling document. That concludes our presentation for today. Here's our contact information if you have any questions. Thank you.